This lecture is about semantic development by Dr. Seo-mi. There are 5 different aspects of oral language. Phonology, morphology, syntax are related to the form of language. Semantics and pragmatics is related to use of language. Semantics is about an individual's use of the meanings of words. So, semantic development is an individual's learning and storage of the meanings of words. An internal representation of the word includes its phonological form, its grammatical role, and its conceptual meaning. The process of semantic development involves 3 building blocks. The first one is acquiring a mental lexicon of about 60,000 words between infancy and adulthood. Second, learning new words rapidly. Third, organizing the mental lexicon in an efficient semantic network. Lexicon is a mental dictionary. So basically, the process of semantic development is building and restructuring lexicon to store the learned words. Ostensive contexts are ideal environments for semantic development. Ostensive means directly or clearly demonstrative. In linguistics, ostensive denotes a way of defining by direct demonstration, something like by pointing. In ostensive context, lots of contextual information is provided about a novel word, either linguistically or extra-linguistically. Imagine that you are in the backyard looking at the bird with the child. You're pointing to the bird and saying to the child, "See the bird? Look, a beak." This is a great example of an ostensive context for the child to learn the word beak. Beak is a less frequent word than bird. Although the child might not be able to say the word, probably it is easier to understand the word beak. So it can become a receptive vocabulary. Receptive vocabulary is the word that the child understands. Ostensive context can be helpful for children to learn expressive vocabulary as well. A young child is pointing to a cow and say moo. Moo for cows, woof woof for dogs, and meow for cats. These are called onomatopoeic words. To this child, moo is cow, a noun. A good thing about this is the child is able to use this onomatopoeic word to communicate with others about cows. In classroom context, teachers can support semantic development, as you can see on this slide as an example. Here's how it gets started. Teacher writes word or phrase representing the basic theme on the board. In this case, it was fear. Students write down individually any words they can think of related to fear. Teacher makes a composite class list on the board, grouping or having the students group the words into categories when possible, and helping the class agree on labels for the categories. Then the teacher can bring up any important words not suggested by students and ask them to try to place them in an appropriate category. Teacher can lead a discussion of how new words relate to familiar words and concepts and can ask students to relate stories about fears or fright. Here is the example of semantic mapping classroom activity about fear. So the discussion led into these 5 categories of vocabulary words with regards to fear. There are 3 elements necessary for learning a new word. First, saying the word, especially you have to pronounce it correctly. Second, using the word in a sentence correctly. Third, examining the concept. Therefore, any kind of vocabulary building activities in classrooms need to include these 3 elements. Knowing semantic taxonomy is useful for the teachers of young children. Only vocabulary words are predominantly nominal, such as specific nominals and general nominals. Specific nominals refer to one thing. So for instance, Casey, the family pet dog, is a specific nominal. General nominals refer to all members of an object category, such as dog, girl, boy, cup. Once the young child starts speaking a little longer sentence than just 2 or 3 words, they start using more action words, modifiers, personal social words, and functional words. So this taxonomy can be useful for analyzing and evaluating young children's semantic development. Now you can use your knowledge in analyzing or evaluating semantic development of young children. See if they used only basic vocabulary or some higher level content words. See if they use pronouns and modifiers correctly.